Welcome, it's Adam, and in this video we actually have John Recob, who's a master at apartment due diligence. He's going to be sharing with you a very condensed version of his normal 3-day course. So without further ado, let's get right into the video.
Without further ado, John Recob. Thank you, Vern. Can everybody hear me well? I know it's a little difficult to hear some of the mics, so in the back, everybody can hear good? Excellent. All right, well, I promised to say a little bit about me. I'm a civil engineer by education. I spent 30 years in commercial construction management here in Denver. Over the 30 years, I built $2 billion worth of projects. Started with multifamily and a lot of rehab, moved on to casinos and hospitals. And then one day, 2008, 2009 came, I got downsized, and I had to decide what I wanted to do when I grew up. I always liked real estate, so here I am. I've been a commercial investor. My first commercial investments were 2 new office buildings downtown Denver in 1999. Well, one at a time, we bought one, or built one, did it, and then did it again. I recently owned 410 apartment units in Indianapolis. I've been a full-time real estate investor since 2011. I work with Anthony Charter's group, and I'm one of the gold coaches, as Vern mentioned. I now concentrate on what I call workforce housing. So that's like B-, class B-, class C properties, for those of you that know how those properties are classified. Right now, I and my partners have 99 units under contract in one suburb of Atlanta, 92 under contract in another suburb of Atlanta, and 16 units in Panama City. Those are all deals that we're syndicating and are looking for people that want to join in with us. So I'll give you my contact information at the end here, and I have a little present if you want to email me later. I have something I will send back. So, what they asked me to speak about is the hidden gotchas of due diligence. So the first one that seems to be different about due diligence for people that are used to doing fix and flips. Well, fix and flips is a full-time job doing that. There's still a lot more time involved. And so there's a lot more time involved both for the overall process. That's about 120 days on each of these 2 timelines to get a process done, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. And then the amount of time you need to put into it. So you do due diligence on a single-family home, and it takes you, 4, 5, 6 hours. Maybe, if you're slow, maybe 10 or 12. I recently did a 26-unit, did the due diligence on a 26-unit here in Chatfield, southwest Denver, and only 26 units, and it took me 90 hours, and I know what I'm doing. So for someone beginning at that, you might add 50% to that. Each unit, because I inspect every unit, I look at every lease, I look at every tenant ledger and so forth. If you had, say, 100 units, you'd have about 20 minutes for each additional unit. So you'd be up to about 120 hours if it was a 100-unit property. So to me, that felt very different, and that was kind of a gotcha for me about how much time it takes. I know many people that do this business, they have a full-time job too. It's hard to spend 120 hours in the process of about 1 month's time to do the due diligence and have a full-time job. So you need to have the right people on your team. Timing of funds is also a little bit different here. So everybody's used to putting earnest money down at the beginning, and that's a bigger number generally with commercial. You also have a smaller fee to pay an attorney to review your contract. I strongly recommend that your purchase contract is reviewed by an attorney. But the timing of the funds. So we're going to talk about that and some of the ones that turn out to be surprises. And then the other thing I find is everything you decide to skip over in the due diligence. I have a long checklist, and it's really rough. You have to have somebody that's very detail-oriented to go through all this stuff. But you always think, well, that one's not going to bite me, that one's not going to bite me. I'll skip those couple. Those are the ones that will get you on that deal. So you need to go through all of them. So the first gotcha is the closing timeline. So that's what these 2 are. I tried to create a representation to show kind of how the different activities. Well, that's a good idea. see how things normally work. So I've color-coded this, but I'll start here. So I think if things go well, in a well-organized way, close to commercial property, I want 90 days to do that. And that's what I'd like to write in all my contracts. However, I get a lot of pushback from brokers. They think you ought to do it for 60 days. Well, I'll explain in a few minutes how you can do it in 60 days, and neither one is a very good option. So, first, you can't do the due diligence unless the seller has gotten all of your due diligence materials. On an apartment building, I have a full page list of things that they need to provide. You know, all the 3 years of profit and loss statements, 3 years of bank statements, all their tenant ledgers, all the leases. There's a whole long list of stuff. And most sellers have a little trouble getting that to you. I allow 30 days for my due diligence to do all of my, I first inspect all the seller's documents, look at all the historic stuff, and make sure it matches my preliminary underwriting. And if it doesn't, I renegotiate at that point before I move on to inspection. I'll show you why in a few minutes. Then, I do not fill out my loan application. During the time I'm doing my due diligence, I'm collecting term sheets from all the lenders. But I don't actually sign up with a lender to go through until I'm done with my due diligence, and I know that after my inspection, if I had to renegotiate, that the seller and I are on the same page. Because when you sign that loan, that financing agreement, oftentimes you have to come up with all the third-party fees. A fee for appraisal, for an inspection, maybe for a phase one. Oftentimes for all the lenders legal. And they don't care how much their attorney charges, by the way, because they're not paying the bill. And then once it's approved through the loan committee, and you really have to commit, the only real loan commitment in commercial is to say they fund your job deal and close it. Anytime before that, they can pull their funds. But generally, the loan committee approves it. It might take 45 days to get all those reports done and everybody to approve those. And then they usually need about a week to fund the property, to actually come up with the funds to put in for closing. So all that adds up to 90 days. None of that includes the time before you have a contract. That's from your signed contract. Normally, in this business, a lot of people use LOIs, letters of intent. So rather than filling out a 15-page real estate contract to make an offer, oftentimes we have a 1 or 2 page letter of intent to do. So we send that in. A couple days later, we negotiate back and forth. They agree to it. But then we've got to actually get the contract drawn up. And oftentimes that, again, if it goes well, that's about a 2-week process, assuming you're having your attorney review it, which I strongly recommend. I've had that take 6 and 8 weeks, so that's another place that delay can occur. So how long is it going to take to get the LOI and do all the contract negotiation? I just don't know what that will be. The red across the bottom was where I mentioned that for just 26 units, it took me 90 hours to do this. So we need to allow some time. So common delays, I already mentioned some of those because that was one. And by the way, if you have questions, you could raise your hand. I suggest maybe writing them down. You all have a flyer in front of you, which is the 16-hour version of this class. You might be getting the 1-hour version. There's a 16-hour version. But so you have paper in front of you to write down questions for later on. So, the contract negotiation. I've seen a lot of deals fall apart at the contract negotiation. You thought you had a letter of intent where you agreed to all the terms, and then the seller is not reasonable about something, or the broker is not reasonable. Oftentimes, that's about the time that it's going to take to do all of this due diligence. Seller's delays. I mentioned that. The seller has a lot of documents to get you. An organized seller that has property management company and property management software, a lot of people get you most everything you need in about 24 hours. I don't know what takes them so long, but it's usually a week or 2. I have 7 days in my contract. I also do the contract a little different than the standard real estate contract. The standard real estate contract says that your due diligence period starts the day you sign the contract when both parties have executed. I don't agree to that because I don't have what I need to start my due diligence until the seller's gotten me the documents that I need. So that's one point in the negotiation that sometimes slows things down. Almost always, when I've gone through the detailed records that the seller gives me, our economic occupancy or vacancy is almost always worse than what they represent. We had a property recently in Texas. They gave us a September rent roll. We signed up the contract on it, and it said it was like 96% occupied. We get the contract's all signed, and they send us the current documents. And in January, it's like 77% occupied. And so that's a very different value that the property has. So we called that to try to negotiate, and the property fell through because the seller wasn't willing to negotiate. In that particular case, the difference in that vacancy at the cap rate we were using amounted to about $700,000 of value off the property. It was like 2.8, I think was our offer. Is that about right, Dave?
2.67.
Okay. So 2.675, and that would have put us below $2 million. And we were willing to even maybe split it with them, but they wouldn't talk about that. So, something that almost always happens. Surprises found during inspection. Has anybody ever inspected the property and found something they didn't expect? Okay, let's try it the other way. Who's inspected a property and not found something that they didn't expect? So almost always, after you're done with your inspections, you have some more time to negotiate. So the end of your inspection should be about the end of your due diligence period. I don't do that. So I spend the first 2 weeks of my due diligence, about 30 days, looking at the historic documents and refining my underwriting. I then spend 2 weeks, 1 week going to the property to inspect every unit and all parts of it. And then I have a little bit of time left over to get some contractors involved when I find there's stuff that needs to be done so I can get it all priced out. But at that point, my due diligence is over. But almost always, my due diligence period gets extended because I now have this list of things the seller forgot to tell us about. Half the AC units don't work. That's something I'm going to want some attention to. For instance, especially if I'm buying in Atlanta or in Panama City, Florida, air conditioning might be an important thing. So, again, more surprises. Then it's your turn. So now you've got everything all negotiated with the seller. You're all on the same page. Inspections are done. If you need to make any adjustments, you're all on the same page, and you now know what you're going to pay for the property. Now it's your turn to get all of your documents to your lender and everything that they request. And again, for most people, that seems very difficult. I don't understand that, but I'm an engineer, so that might be part of my lack of understanding for other people. So, and their lack of understanding about me. I do a few things different. I use spreadsheets for fun. So, there's a lot of things you need to get, and every lender's a little different. So, what I recommend you get the lender everything he wants, and you assemble it all at once and get it in one package to send to them. When you send them these couple documents today, and a few more tomorrow, and a few more next week, they don't get all put together in the same way. And the lender takes a lot of time. He's not as interested in this, and you're really organized. And that's going to reflect on the processing of your loan. So make a nice package, whatever he says he wants. Do not give him things he did not ask for. I don't know how many times, they ought to have this. Man, they really need to know this. I think I've done that a few times. And they didn't really need to know that because now we opened up a whole other can of worms and we delay it further. Okay, now the lender's got his package. He's all ready to go. And it's time, he's got to find an appraiser that'll get out there. Well, as busy as real estate is these days, that can be very hard to find. Normal appraisers might be 3 or 4 weeks out to go visit your property. Then they need to visit your property, then they need a week or two to wrap up the report. And I said 45 days for the lending portion. And the appraiser might take all of that all by himself. So, again, just come to places in the ways to go. Also, once all the inspections are done, the lender then sends your package to their legal department, which is usually some outside firm making about $1,200 an hour. And they draw the loan documents and finish up the mechanics of the due diligence. So oftentimes that takes a while. Sometimes you need to review those loan documents, and your attorney needs to review those loan documents. So that's another place the delay can occur. So you might be able to tell there's a lot of places that delays occur. In the 16-hour version of this class, I tell you about how to get around all of those. Or, sometimes you just have to, you're done and you have to walk away. But I give you a lot of strategies for trying to get around that in the 16-hour version of this class. So during the escrow period, we talked about, the purchase contract. You have a little money for an attorney's review, and you have the earnest money you put down. So oftentimes that's maybe 1%. So let's say you're buying a $2 million multifamily property, you might have $20,000 in. I don't really worry about that $20,000 too much because all of my contracts that I'm willing to sign make that very refundable. I can walk away at any time during the inspection period. In fact, I always have a financing contingency, so I can usually walk away right to the day of closing if I decide to. So that money is not so bad. But when you get a little further down the road, and you've gotten all the seller's documents, and you reviewed all the historic data, it's now time to go visit the property. And this is the reason why I review all the historic stuff first. When we found out the economic vacancy was so much higher than it was represented, we didn't want to spend the money to get on a plane. We didn't want to spend the money to pay any inspectors to go inspect the property. So we tried to renegotiate before that. So now, since we negotiated and we're okay, we buy our plane tickets and we travel. So whether there's someone on your team that can do all your inspections yourself, or whether you need to hire outside inspectors. Many people doing this for the first time ought to hire some outside inspectors, at least for portions of it. I spent 30 years in commercial construction. I can do the inspections on my properties myself. I get roofers to come along, I get electricians to come along, I get boiler mechanics to come along and look at those components that I'm not. But all that can cost money. So that's another time you've got to put money out. And so that's the reason for my order. All of the order in which I ordered all these activities on these two bar charts is all based around trying to minimize the dollars you put out. So I want to get as much done as I can before I put out the dollars for inspection. Then once I'm done with my inspection, I want to make sure I've gotten all the things done I need to do to negotiate with the owner before I get to that next stage. We talked about the loan application. That's oftentimes $10,000 to $15,000 for those third-party fees. That's what John Romero tells us anyway sometimes. But if it's a bigger property, you're buying a $5 or $10 million property, that could be $30,000 or $40,000 for those fees. And those, once you give them to your lender, while they're technically refundable until the day the appraiser spends it and the attorney spends it, once you put that money down, you better figure out it's gone. So you better be 100% well, never be 100% sure. But you better be as sure as you can that all of your due diligence is good, because that's money that's not coming back to you. If this fails to close for any reason, that $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 is gone. You might get your earnest money back, but you're not getting all that money you gave to the lender. You might get a small portion because maybe his attorney hasn't started drawing up the loan documents when you discover this. So you might get a portion of that, but most of it you won't. And then the other thing that I hold off doing until about the time of the loan application is because I syndicate these deals, which means I get large and small investors and I put the money all together and we all go together as partners and buy the property. So to do that legally, according to the Securities and Exchange Commission, other than on very, very small deals, you need a private placement memorandum. That's something else you need an SEC attorney to draw up. And that tends to run through our group. We have a real good relationship with a person that does that, and we can sometimes get it done between $8,000 and $15,000. Most people off the street would charge you about $25,000 for that. Again, once you give the attorney that money to start drawing that up, it's gone, and you're not getting it back. The attorney that we use if this deal that we're doing right now does not go through, she will revise it one time for the next year without charging us anymore. But it's just a lot of money that gets put out. So you had $10,000 or $15,000 for the lender's fees, and you might have another 10 or 15,000 for this. Now you've got 30,000 out of pocket that's not coming back to you. You better make sure you get it closed. And of course, at closing, you need the rest of your down payment, and you need your lender to come up with funds. That should not be a surprise. Critical activities. So, as part of the 16-hour version of this, I review my 400-item national diligence list of all the items. So I mentioned earlier, 400, that's a lot of items. I think, here's 50 I can skip. Those 50 will come back and get you on that property that you should skip somewhere else. One of the things that I see people shortcutting a lot is market surveys. So when I'm doing preliminary underwriting and I'm just looking at a property to see if I'm interested in making an offer, I run a Renometer, I go to apartments.com, I talk to property managers in the area, brokers in the area, trying to find rent comps. But before you get to closing, before you're done with your due diligence, and I usually during that trip when I go for my inspection, to me it's very important that you go visit your competition. I learn something every time I go visit the competition. Go see how their units compare. Just go act as if you were in town to rent a unit, and go take the tour of the units. See what their units are compared to yours. You will learn a lot. It's just because they charge a few bucks more than you does not mean you can raise your rents. The most important number in my underwriting is how much am I going to be able to charge for rents in the future. What really is the market rents? You hear a lot of people talking, your standard broker tells you, they're $100 below market. Have you ever heard that? Have you ever not heard that? So, if they're $100 below market, why has the seller raised it? If it's so easy, then the seller would have already done that and his property would be worth more. Oh, well, he's just lazy, he doesn't do much advertising. Well, I'm going to pay for the property based upon the way it is now. But I have to know what the upside of it is and be way overly optimistic on what rents are going to go up. And it's part of our economy right now. Rents in many markets are going up 5 and even 10% a year, some even more than that. If you, I caution you not to think that that's going to happen forever. There will be a downturn. One of the great things about real estate, you've locked in your loan, and you've got all this stuff, and if there's a little bit of a downturn, it's easy to weather. But if you assume that you're going to get all these rent increases to make your numbers work, then you could be in no trouble. So, the rental survey, however much help you get, the final check ought to be you going and visiting those properties. There's nothing that can substitute for that. We talked about determining the true economic occupancy. We have a tool that is part of the class that we give you what's called a rent roll analysis for. And it shows you how to go back and go through the tenant ledgers and figure out what they really paid versus what the financials show. And almost always you find that the true economic occupancy has been overstated. So I also go through every lease and I make sure that what they're being charged is what's in the lease and what are their late fees and what are their pet fees and all those things. I almost always come away with a list of questions for the seller when I'm done looking at all of his leases. 25% of them aren't signed, for instance. So, to that, those are kind of the gotchas. Those are the things that were maybe a little bit more abnormal than you might think if you hadn't done this before. So, there's a little red line on this. And this red line today, you get the contract signed. Okay. So, that's the day the contract is signed. So, this is your market research that you're looking at the market. Let's say Kansas City is where you want to find property. You're doing market research on Kansas City to know that's a market that you want. You then get data from there. You fill out your letter of intent. So this is the time between getting an accepted letter of intent and getting the contract signed. So I try to go back and get as much of my due diligence done as I can, and then get a head start on it. The next section is between getting the contract signed and having to put up the money for the inspections. So that's why this is a different color. Then the purple is the period where you're doing your inspections. The blue here is when your lenders work. Your due diligence is 100% done here. So a while ago I said 90 hours for a 26 unit or maybe 120 hours for a 100 unit. All of that has to occur. Most all those hours are spent right here. It's a 4 to 5 week period. So if you work a 40-hour week job, that's 173 hours a month. And then you're going to have maybe 120 hours to that to do all the due diligence here. So just keep that in mind in selecting partners. Select complementary partners. I don't want to find 4 more people like me that love spreadsheets. I need to find somebody that's better at marketing than me, somebody that's better at property management than me. I've got the numbers marked down. So big partners that will be complementary to help you through that period. Then finally, the lender's gone to his loan committee and said it's approved, but they still need another week or so to buy. So down the side, under both sides, are the kind of typical activities that we review in detail in the bigger class. So developing a business plan is all part of it. So just as an example, on the business plan, before you make your offer, you need to have a plan in mind. You need to know what your plan is for the property. Don't just make an offer and people make offers. Oh, that sounds like it's a good price. Well, it depends on what your plan is for the property. What are you doing to improve it? So the plan needs to be in your mind. By the time I get the contract signed, I want to start having my business plan in a written form so I can start getting it out to investors and lenders. Lenders generally like some kind of business plan. Maybe it's an executive summary of the business plan so that they understand what your plan is for the property. And during this time, I haven't signed up with the lenders up here, but in all this time, I'm collecting all the term sheets for the lender. So I need my written plan. At some point, I take that written plan or components of it, and I make a nice PowerPoint presentation. And I do webinars to potential investors and so forth, so that they understand what the property is about. And then a couple times at the end of doing all the historic documents, it might be need an update at the end of inspection. It almost always needs an update to say what we found during inspections. So for all these activities, I've got stuff I have planned out. This is not all 410 items that are on the master checklist, but this is a representative piece of it. For instance, somewhere here is verifying all the income and expenses in this couple of weeks here. That's probably 100 of those 410 activities occur in this couple of weeks that I'm doing. So the main categories of due diligence are market research, getting and reviewing the seller's documents, verifying the income and expenses, and working out your plan about what you expect your income and expenses to be. That's usually the market survey stuff you got when you visit. It's getting quotes for your insurance. It's talking to the county tax assessor so you know when it's going to go up. Normally you get the benefit of the old tax rate for a year or two. Depends on the timing of the municipality where you are. Sometimes it goes up pretty quick. Sometimes it's 6 or 7%. So it goes up. So those are the things you're finding out then. And capital improvement needs. Capital improvement needs are one of the most overlooked items in people doing their underwriting. You need to have some reserves because someday your roof is going to go out. And if you have, let's say that small 26-unit property, let's say it was one building, your roof goes out, it probably wiped out your profits for the whole year. So you need to plan ahead for that stuff. You need to have some reserves. Some lenders, particularly if you're an inexperienced operator, the lender may force you to have $200 a unit or $300 a unit per year in your reserves. But don't assume that since the lender calculated that, that's all the calculation you need. If you don't have those, that's all got to be part of the money you raise, the calculation and the underwriting you put together at the front. because if you get to the property and things start happening and you don't have cash, then we're talking about things like capital calls. Anybody know what a capital call is? They're not fun. That's when you go back to your investors that already gave you, say, $400,000 for this deal, and you said, you know what, we're a little short. I need everybody, I need another $100,000. So if you put in 50 before, now you need to put in 12 more. And some investors understand that and are happy, but they'll send you the check and so forth. Some just don't have it. They invested everything they had in their IRA, and there's no more funds to get. So it just gets to be a messy situation. So planning ahead. The other thing is, I hear people, so we go on the inspection and we find things that need to be replaced. I use the example, there's a bunch of air conditioning units that are out. Some people take the tack that, well, you know what, I'm going to use my first year of profits, and I'm going to do that. And that's fine, as long as that's the plan you have in your business plan, and that's the plan you told your investors. If you told your investors that they're going to get a 5 or 10 or 15% return and get distributions quarterly, and then the first 3 quarters you use all the money to do capital improvements, they may not be happy with you. If I invested in your deal, I would not be happy with you. So, capital improvements are the most overlooked item in having adequate funds. Inspections, so there's lots of different times you do inspections. I don't go to the property until I've done all the historic documents and make sure all the numbers are. But a lot of brokers and a lot of sellers have an issue with that. They want me to come see the property before they'll accept my offer. Anybody ever heard that? So, in all my market research back here, I've been talking to lots of local property managers. It's all part of my interview process. My interviewing the property manager starts here and ends here. I get 3 months to figure out which are good property managers, who's being the most cooperative. Almost all of those guys will volunteer to come look at your property. They want to go see what property you're talking about hiring for. So guess what? They're my representative. I send them out for a broker tour. Please take some pictures. Please write down what we think the property needs just from, on a broker tour, you usually want to go see 2 or 3 units and some of the common areas and so forth. But it's worked for me every time. I have never had an objection by just sending one of my teammates. It helps to have had a little conversation with the property manager so that semantically he talks right. He's your property manager. He's not just somebody you consider. And then finally, you get the close. So again, we laid out all the different kinds of activities across it. Yes, sometimes. I actually find, while I would love to close, my favorite day is the 5th or 6th of the month, but that's usually when rent is late. But I often find that my motivation, when this 90 days almost never happens. I would say average is 120 to 150 days. When we've been going through this for 5 months, and we're going to end up closing on the 27th instead of the 5th, I'm usually pretty anxious just to get closed and move on. So, in practicality, I found that it hasn't been as big a deal for me when I get there as it is about thinking about it ahead. So, everybody has a flyer that has my contact information, a little bit more information about the other class that I teach and when it's coming up. But if you would like to be aware of the syndications I do, or learn how you can find more education, I do 16 hours of class, but in the program that Dave Sanchez and I are part of, with Anthony Chara, we have about 100 hours of classes. They're not your typical weekend real estate classes where you go for 12 hours, where you go for 16 hours, and they give you 4 hours of content and 12 hours of talking about the coaching program. Generally, we spend about an hour telling you about the availability of the coaching program, and the rest of it's very great content. So, but if you will send me an email that says that you're interested in some more education, or you're interested in finding out about syndications, or you just want to stay in contact with me, as a reward, I will send you, and I probably the screen here too. But I have a little list. So this is the kind of the preface for my 400-item due diligence list. And what it says it is due diligence gold summary. Tells you what am I looking for when I do market research, when I'm getting the seller documents. So it gives you a few highlights of the different kinds of things that we might find helpful. So if you'll email me and tell me if you'd be interested in that, I will send it to you. Yes?
So I just generally had a question about your timeline up there. Do you swear by financing and leveraging your capital, or do you ever do any all-cash acquisitions, outright purchases, or is that just something? Because I know it's pretty variable for a lot of investors, particularly those that are very experienced.
So I don't know if that matters to me. I'll do any of those, and it matters more on the property. If I've got something that's 100% vacant, then I'm going to have a lot harder time getting a loan that makes any sense. So generally, I might raise all cash and buy it that way. Then once I own it, you have to get some funds to fix it up a little bit too, so that you get some value, so that you can then rebuy everybody out at the end. So it's more, for me, it's more dictated by the property.
I have a question too. How do you leverage your property management team to ideally cut back on some of the time that you personally are investing in due diligence?
Okay, when I mentioned the 90 hours and the 120 hours, that was with the property management very leveraged. One of the things I teach you through here is what can property management companies do for you, what can the sellers. I put the seller's broker to work. He's the one getting the big commission. I oftentimes don't use a buyer's broker. I get him to do a lot of work for me. And remember, I'm interviewing my property managers through that whole time to see how cooperative they are. So I leverage everything I can. I get them to do a lot of the things. So like the market research, I do a little bit with renometer and stuff up front before I make an offer. And before I'm done with my due diligence, I go visit the properties, but everything in between, usually I can get out of some of the property managers. The other thing that's important to me when you're leveraging all those things is don't just go to one property manager and take their word for everything they say as gospel. I want to talk to at least 3 different people, 3 real estate attorneys, 3 real estate brokers, 3 property managers at a minimum that do the kind of property that I'm trying to buy. And I'm always asking them, what are the dollars per unit you spend in expenses? What are rents? What's the vacancy rate been running and stuff here? And I get a bunch of different answers. But once you ask enough questions, you start to see which ones are where you're getting the most answers. The other thing I do for that is I ask each one of those for references for all the others. So I'm talking to property managers, I want references on real estate brokers, attorneys, title companies, insurance companies. When I'm talking to the brokers, I want references on property managers. When I'm talking to the real estate attorneys, I want references on brokers and property managers. And what you'll find when you're doing all these calls, if you really make the amount of calls that I'm talking about making and actually contact, you're going to start hearing the same names over and over. That gives me a lot better likelihood that I pick, that my top couple choices for property managers are maybe the ones that I really want to have. That might have not quite answered your question yet.
Okay. You guys have a question? Once, going twice. Okay, so let's all give John a big round of applause. Thank you for.
I have business cards up here.